Hello there, sorry from 17 once again. This is my Max Payne 3, old school difficulty, no damage. This is chapter 4, we're in New York, and this is a really fun chapter. So the first thing to notice here, folks, is that, especially when we get outside, because of the kind of washed out state, the bleak look that they're trying to capture in New York, the noir style, the endless winter, because of how it looks, it can be very difficult to ascertain where your target is. So sometimes when you're diving and you're trying to find people, it's not the easiest thing in the world. It's way more difficult in the cemetery level coming up in chapter 8, but in this moment, it's actually pretty good, and this is one of my favourite missions because of it. But I mentioned in my preamble that the AI can sometimes do weird things where they don't push through doorways and they're not as aggressive as you're used to them being. That was one of those moments. I got really lucky, but it was cool because I got to showcase shooting doors to open them, which I think is a really cool mechanic, and it just so happened that I managed to kick his ass. But just then, when I did a shoot dodge, I hit the wall, and that's why my trajectory and my ragdolls were so bizarre, because he didn't dodge correctly. And there are times in this game where Max dodges like diagonally when you don't want to dodge diagonally because of the way his movement and his inertia and all the momentum that he keeps when he's moving between directions. And there's only one part of the game where that really became a problem, but it's worth noticing. So this sequence is interesting because there's two guys in this corridor and then there's a bunch of people on the roofs. You can kill the guys on the roofs by peeking around or by shoot dodging, or you can run past them and then kill them on the second half. I do a bit of a combination of both. I shoot a couple guys the normal way, and then I shoot dodge and realise the camera's really bad and this is not a good idea, but I make it work by, getting a couple of headshots. The goal of this playthrough, as I'm going to continue to reiterate, is essentially to make really fun, aggressive, shoot-dodging Max Payne footage for you guys to enjoy. And I hope through the course of this run that you agree with me. As we come over here and there's a couple of guys. This section here, I really wanted it to be better than it is because I would have loved these people to all have been aggressive, so I could have shoot them all in a single dodge. But I found that hoarding enemies together for shoot dodges oftentimes didn't work, because the people who were lingering behind the group that you could shoot, whenever you dallied around and gave them chance to turn up, the people you could shoot then managed to go into positions where you couldn't shoot them. So it just led to everybody was being an arsehole basically, so instead I just shot them in the face. There's the transition, couple of headshots. This is a really nice sequence. You'll also notice that I get shot by a bunch of bullets and you'll even see the blood on the top of the water tower, but because in those sections you're essentially invincible, they don't count. These parts are interesting too, and this is one of the areas where, if you watch my preamble, I mentioned that the enemies have a tendency of kind of being really awkward with hiding in cover and popping out at the worst possible times. This is a section where you can definitely get that a lot. And on some of the attempts here, when I was shoot dodging, everybody was hiding. And like just now, you see this? That's the kind of thing I'm mentioning. There'll be a bunch of enemies, you'll shoot dodge around a corner, but the AI will not be an aggressive push. So instead of them all popping out like they just did, you'll get nothing and you just look like an idiot. And I managed to pull that one back, and I think that gunfight ended up going really well afterwards. It was a fun one. And this one's a great gunfight as well. This reminds me of Max Payne 2 when you're escorting Vinny. But there's a lot of people here, guys, and there's a lot of spawns that come out the fence that's in that courtyard, so be very careful pushing forward. Like him just then, he could have easily killed me if he'd have had his head screwed on right, and then that should be the final guy. And how he let me stand up just then, I will never know, but I'm really grateful. So there's a nice bullet. And then this is the final fight of the sequence against a bunch of people hiding in a garden. And this is another one of those moments that if you could dodge and shoot them all in rapid succession, it would be beautiful. But they just do not cooperate. And I had a lot of problems on this section with the game being funky. And I've got a couple of bonus clips at the end for you to show you some funky stuff. But look at this right now. My aimer is not working because where I'm laid is cock blocking it. And I managed to get the kill like that, which is crazy, right? But I've got a couple of other versions of this run, so this is a different version, just in case, the last one wasn't good enough. I kept the last one in just to show to you that the game decides to do crazy things sometimes, and it's just the way that the animations work. The animations have such priority. Like right then, did you see how Max's hand was pointing upwards? It's because he does not have the space to aim his hand correctly. The game doesn't let you do it. and it's something that, if you want me to hear me talk about that, I have a walkthrough full of me just being completely baffled why they would choose to do that. And that's the difference between Rockstar and Remedy, and that's why I will always prefer Remedy.